Now I'm going to tell you the secrets of finding jobs above the minimum wage. Now I'm going to tell you about the jobs that are not advisable. You don't want to be working in these type of jobs for so many reasons. Number one job that you absolutely should not do is, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Talks to Jinesh. In today's episode, we're going to talk about part-time jobs in Canada, and these are jobs that you can do as a student. My name is Jinesh Modi and I am a third year computer science student here in Newfoundland, and I also make videos about life in Canada. So if you've not checked out my channel, I highly recommend you do so. Also make sure to subscribe and push the notification icon to be first updated when a new video is out. Give this video a huge thumbs up. You're watching Talks to Jinesh. Let's get started. If you are an international student, then you will need a job here to survive unless you bring enough money from home. So generally what happens is students come here from around the world, and then they find a part-time job in order to continue paying the living expenses. Now these part-time jobs do not generally require any sort of an experience, or because obviously these are entry-level jobs, and these are jobs to just keep you going, keep you surviving, and just pay your own living expenses. Now the types of jobs could really vary, starting from being a cashier, cleaner, waiter, cook, anything. I'll get into more about the types of jobs you can do in a while, but you will have to get a part-time job in order to continue paying your own expenses. Now the legal limit here to work for students is 20 hours, and this is going to be stated in your work permit. When I think you're going to get your work permit, study permit, actually not work permit, you're going to get your study permit in Toronto when you land, and then over there the immigration office is going to tell you that the number of hours legally you can work is only 20 hours off campus. Now this is not on campus, this is only 20 hours off campus. On campus also you can pick up a small job with a less number of hours, like I do a MUSEP job on campus, and that is 80 hours in the entire semester. That is outside of the study permit. So study permit only enables me to do 20 hours of work off campus. I came here in 2017 December, and it was a cold, chilly night. I was not even properly dressed up for the weather, but somehow I got into the cab and then got into the house, and my first goal was to find a job. I would get up every day in the morning and rush to stores, and I came here also a few days before, I think about 2 weeks before my semester started, so I had a lot of time in hand. And during these days I would go out every day and continuously apply to different stores. I also met a man who really appreciated my hunger of finding a job, and he complimented me on that, because I would go out every day and then apply to different jobs. I would follow up on the same stores that I have already passed on my resume, and that is how eventually I got a job. I also put out a lot of ads on Indeed and Kijiji. Indeed and Kijiji are basically just sites that you can look to find a job. Kijiji has a lot of jobs, Indeed has a lot of jobs, and this is where I would apply to different jobs. I had put out my resume out there, and I got a call one evening from a lady who was disabled. She did not have a limb, and so I was going to be working for her. So I worked for her for quite a long time, a few months, and the wage was pretty good. I don't want to say the wage just because I don't know if it is safe to do that right now, but I'm just going to stay on the safe side and not say the wage. But the wage is pretty good, and I would get 3 hours a day and 20 hours a week. So around 6 hours, 6 days a week, I would go 3 hours a day. And this was a little bit more of a problem, more of a trouble for me, because every day I had to travel there to her house and work. Now instead of this, what a wise thing to do, what you can do would be find a job that gives you a lot of hours in one day. So right now I'm working as a security guard. If you've seen the video on security jobs, I'm working 14 hours a day. So the benefit here is all of my work I'm finishing on one day, and the rest of the days of the week I'm freeing up, so I can put my time into other activities, study or do YouTube or anything I want. Right, but if I'm doing 3 hours a day, then I'm going to spend 1 hour going, 1 hour coming, 2 hours on travel every single day. So basically 5 hours I'm spending just like that every day. And so this was my first job. My main duties were to keep the house clean, cook for her, and buy groceries with her, and just help her out in her daily activities, give her a good company because she was really old. She was almost retired, and she was in government support. The government here is really nice. Also, if you are disabled for any reason, you cannot work, your disability is preventing you from getting an employment, then the government will pay you a good amount of money to stay home and just relax till you retire. And then when you do retire, you continue to get your retirement fund. And then I found better jobs and I moved on. I found a Shoppers Drug Mart job, and then I found Walmart. Walmart is the longest I worked at. I stayed there for about 7 to 8 months, and then I went to Toronto. And Toronto is when my whole sort of journey changed in Canada. That's when I worked very hard in Toronto. I was doing 3 jobs at a time, and then when I came to Newfoundland, everything was just different. I was the supervisor here, and then I went on to become the manager at We Planet Earth. So the different types of jobs that you can do here is work as a cashier, work in Tim Hortons as a assistant, work in McDonald's as a cook, work in restaurants, and there's so many other places. You can also join security jobs here. You can do on-campus employment as well. I have made a separate video on part-time jobs as well with a lot of inspiration, so you can check that out. There should be a card somewhere above. On-campus employment is basically MUCEPs and ISWEPs. MUCEPs is MUCEPS. Now this is the category where all students can apply, Canadians and international students. But ISWEPs, ISWEPS, this is the category where only international students can apply. So if you are coming in as an international student, you have a high amount of chance to land a job when you apply in the ISWEP category, because the competition obviously decreases. These jobs can be either 40 hours in a semester or 80 hours in a semester. I usually prefer to do 80 hours in a semester because it's one job that you're doing 80 hours rather than doing two 40-hour jobs. If you're doing two 40-hour jobs, I just personally think that they're a little bit more chaotic and a little bit more hectic to do, manage two different jobs. But it's just a personal thing you can do. If you want to do a 240-hour job, you can do that, or you can just do 140-hour job. Now you cannot get more than 80 hours. That is the rule of on-campus employment here. You cannot work more than 80 hours in one semester for this category, MUCEPs and ISWEPs. However, I have also worked as a TA. Last semester I was working as a TA in the math department, and I was doing an 80-hour MUCEP position. So basically I was doing 160 hours in one semester. That was the best semester. The minimum wage here in Newfoundland is $11.65. When I came here to Canada, it was, I think, $11.15, and then it slowly increased. Now I'm going to tell you the secrets of finding jobs above the minimum wage. Now, most jobs here in Canada are going to pay you the minimum wage. In Toronto, the minimum wage is $14 an hour, which is really good. In Newfoundland is $11.65, and most restaurants, Tim Hortons, McDonald's, everyone is only going to pay you the minimum wage. But now I'm going to tell you how you can find jobs above the minimum wage. Try and find a job in a hotel as either a room attendant, a receptionist, anything. But if you can get a job in a hotel, then your wage significantly improves. The minimum salary here that they pay you, the wage here they pay you is around $16, which is really good. But think about $11 here and $16 here. So much a difference, and $5 difference. So if you can get a job in a hotel, and that is going to really help you. And also, working in a hotel, you do get your hours easily, whereas working in a fast food restaurant, you don't always get the hours easily. But in a hotel, you are going to get your hours most of the time. And also, the benefit of working in a hotel is you can put on your resume that you've been working in this and this hotel, and that really gives a good impression, because they are really good hotels here, and the hotels here are high standard. So if you can show on your resume that you have worked in this and this hotel for this much time and you've done these things, then that really gives a good impression to the next employer that you're going to be submitting your resume to. Another thing that you can do is work in a restaurant. Now, the benefit of working in a restaurant is the wage is going to be the same. The minimum wage you're going to be paid. But the benefit here is that you're going to be paid tips. Now, tips can be huge. If you're working in a really busy restaurant, like I know I don't want to name the restaurant, but there are many restaurants here in St. John's that the employees who are working on shift as a waiter, they take home $100 to $200 every single week just off tips. So that is huge, right? It's not, and sometimes even when it's the weekend, if they're doing a whole day shift, then they take home $50 to $100 a day. So that is big money, and especially in tips, because you are going to be paid your hourly wage anyway, and the tips are just on top of what you're being paid. So these two fields are really good to be working as a student, because you're not going to be doing much of labor, much of hard work, and you're going to be cashing in good money. If you are enjoying this video, then give it a huge thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also put your thoughts in the comments. Ask me a question. I'm generally very responsive. Follow me on Instagram. I also respond to people on Instagram. Now I'm going to tell you about the jobs that are not advisable. You don't want to be working in these type of jobs for so many reasons. The number one job that you absolutely do not want to do is be bringing the carts back to the store. Now these jobs are generally available in stores like Walmart and Sobeys. What you're going to be doing is working outdoors, and during the summers is fine, but during the winters it is a disaster. It's a total nightmare. What you're going to do is, the shoppers usually take the carts and take all the food in the cart to their cars, and then they unload everything in the car and they leave the carts there usually. Or there's a cart station where they take the cart and put it in the cart station, but it's still outdoors. Now your job is going to be taking the carts from there and bringing it back to the store. And this revolves, if you have a like 8-hour shift, 8 hours a day you're going to be outdoor and you're going to be doing that. It can be a real pain, because if you are working there in the winters, then it is cold, it is chilly. Now you do get jackets and gloves and stuff, but if you have a long shift, then no amount of jackets can help you stay warm. Now I know this because I have a friend who worked in Walmart as one of the persons bringing the carts back, and he did not like it. It was the winter time, obviously, and his hands would get chilly, his hands would get numb, and he would always complain to me about this. And so he one day spoke to the manager, and the manager also said that there's nothing she can do. So eventually he had to quit the job because he was not comfortable working there. So I learned my lesson not working in such a job. I learned my lesson from him, from his experience, that to never do such a type of a job where you're going to be bringing the carts back. Now if you don't have any jobs, then sure, why not? You can do it for a few days, a few weeks, until unless you find a job. If this is the only offer you've got, I'd recommend 100% take it. But until this is only for a short period of time, until unless you find a job. Another type of job that you do not want to do is be doing jobs that are far away from your home. Now I know this also because I have gone through the whole trouble and gone through the whole process. I worked in Walmart in Stavanger Drive, that is around 8 to 9 kilometers from my house here, and this distance is not good, especially because I don't have a car. I don't have a car yet. I used to take the bus. The bus system here is not the best. You have to wait for 30 to 40 minutes in order to catch a bus, and if you happen to miss it, that's it. Wait for another 30 to 40 minutes. I've been to Toronto as well, and the transit system in Toronto is way better, way improved than it is here in Newfoundland, but it's getting better here as well. My shift back in Walmart would always end during the night, so around 10 p.m. 11 p.m. I would be done with my shift, and also it was mostly on the weekends. Now on weekends the buses don't travel as frequently they do during the weekdays, and I would get off in the weekends around 10 p.m. Obviously I wouldn't find a bus, so I had to always take a cab, go back home, and the cab would be around $40 from Stavanger Drive to here to my house, around $40. And this money, so it's around 4 hours of pay. If you think of it $10 an hour, then it's around 4 hours, roughly 4 hours of pay that is going just in the cab. So it was not the best working in Stavanger because of the distance. Then I found, I went to Toronto and stuff, and everything changed. The third type of job that you do not want to do is a job which involves imminent harm or imminent danger. For example, working as a bouncer. Now, if you get a job as a bouncer in any of the local clubs and local pubs, then you need to be careful about how you say something and to whom you say something, because the public there is mostly going to be people from the streets. Well, not exactly on the streets, but not the best kind of people. And so if you happen to say something to them which you might think is normal, which is okay, but they may not like it, which you don't know also, right, what they like, what they don't like. And if they don't like it, later on when you're going back home on a late night and you're walking home, and then you see a car come by, stop next to you, 10 people get out, and that's it, your game's over. So I wouldn't personally recommend you to work in such a job which involves talking to people in a way that like preventing them from entering the club and stuff. I wouldn't really recommend to do that. That's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, then give it a huge thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram. I will see you in the next episode. Talk to you later.